All right, let's keep talking about immigration and Donald Trump. So, Matthew, you were saying that there were some swing voters who didn't, I guess, are surprised at what they're seeing with the mass deportation now. Donald Trump ran on it. Jacob was there. I was at the convention as well. This mass deportation now, we're going to do it. We're going to do Operation, we're not going to say the word. We're going to get 10 million immigrants out of this country, 1 million of them undocumented out of this country immediately. I'm wondering what you thought Republican voters or swing voters anticipated they would see. And is this because, I mean, what was Donald Trump telling them something, telling them a story about immigrants in this country that they are now surprised doesn't line up with the experience of who's actually being detained?
Well, I mean, I hate to hesitate to get into the emotional or psychic nature of a Trump voter and what they thought they were hearing and what they actually thought was going to happen with Donald Trump. Donald Trump talked about this issue, but he talked about many other things, not the least of which was going after Joe Biden because he was incapable of being president and inflation being out of control and worries about the economy. What I was saying is there's a difference between what the base thought he was going to do, and I would guess that some of the base didn't think he was going to do this. They thought he was going to have some orderly way that he was going to get people and process them, move them. The swing voters who decided Pennsylvania, who decided Michigan, who decided Wisconsin, who decided North Carolina, who decided Georgia, didn't have immigration in their top three issue. The top issue they had of why they made the decision for their vote was inflation. The second one was the economy. The third one was health care. That's why those voters, now they heard Donald Trump say a lot of stuff, and as he does often in campaigns and he does often at the White House, but what they focused on was what was the concern to them. And as they see this unfold, in combination with the fact that Donald Trump has done nothing about the economy and has done nothing about inflation, and they watch this unfold, I think many of them are aghast at what they thought was going to be his priority and why they voted for him and what he is actually doing.
I wonder, though, if they also thought that the immigrants in this country, the undocumented immigrants, were largely criminals. I mean, Donald Trump, when he campaigned, he would bring out families who had been affected by undocumented immigrants, either violently killed or accidentally killed, these mothers who were grieving. And so I wonder if the image that a lot of voters got was that these undocumented immigrants are all criminals.
Yeah.
They've come across the border. They're rapists. They're drug dealers. Some are good people.
I think Trump voters certainly thought that he would be prioritizing undocumented individuals who had committed crimes and were still living in the United States. I want to make another point. Just as like a student of history, I'm recalling how during the civil rights era, Southern blacks gained the support of white Northerners once those white Northerners started seeing images on television of the way that they were treated by law enforcement officials and segregationists. And I think that's an analog, that's a parallel to what's happening now. I mean, people generally agree with the idea that if you're here illegally and you're committing crimes or you otherwise pose a danger to the public, you should be the first to go. But what we're seeing from this administration is the deportation illegally of citizens and other people who may well, through legal process, be allowed to go, but who are not getting the due process that people are entitled to under our
or they're just members of the community that they didn't think would be a priority.
Yeah.
Like there was a story in the Washington Post about Carol, who was an Asian immigrant who had been here for a long time, worked a number of jobs in the community, was a mother. And she was detained. Right. And they would say, why Carol? What did Carol do other than try to contribute to this community? But I want to ask about the Democrats. We talk about this.
Do we have to?
No, the shocking images that we're seeing for Donald Trump's immigration policy, the way he's treating it. Are Democrats offering an alternative for voters who do prioritize immigration? They want the immigration policy in this country to change. They want the border to remain shut. Are they offering an alternative to allow those voters to then vote for Democrats?
Let me be fair to the members of my party by drawing attention to the fact that Democrats had negotiated a bipartisan border security bill around this time last year that was torpedoed cynically after Donald Trump woke up one day and went to social media and said, don't do this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and he wasn't even president at the time.
He wasn't president, but by then, people carried water for him within the Republican majorities in Congress. And so it's not that Democrats have not set forth an agenda that would enhance border security and all of the things associated with that, in addition to what we've already known over the past several decades, which is that Democrats also support a plausible pathway to citizenship.
But are they messaging on it? I mean, one thing we learned from Zoran is that he went out and he gave a positive message of what this city could look like.
Yeah.
Are Democrats coming out and giving a positive message for what immigration can look like in this country?
No,
Here's the way that we can use it. Here's the way that we can assimilate. We can bring people out of the shadows. Hey, also, we're going to deal with the border.
The most important thing for Democrats to do right now is talk about these Medicaid cuts that are about to go into effect.
So immigration should be a priority.
Immigration should continue to be a priority. But in terms of what people should be messaging right now, it should be mostly about the fact that millions of people in this country are about to lose health care, SNAP benefits, for low-income people, kids who are relying on this for food and other sustenance. I mean, that is what should be relentlessly messaged in the press.
I had Brendan Buck on just a moment ago talking about that very thing.